Today, I'm so excited to share with you all a little bit more about my story and what led me to becoming a life coach. When I really think about it, I have to go all the way back to when I was 12 years old. And at the time when my dream was actually to be an NCAA women's basketball coach. For folks who have known me in different iterations of my life, while I grew up in San Antonio, basketball was a major part of my life. And when I reflect on this dream that I had of becoming a basketball coach, I believe that it was really rooted in the fact that I saw coaches as people who could see other people's talents, their skills, how each person could grow. I saw the coach as the person who could see the big picture of, what was happening on the court, what was happening in the game, what was happening for the season. And to me, the role of the coach is really about supporting the success of the whole and building a really strong team. So when I think about this dream, I'm reminded of the path that it took me to get here and becoming a life coach through now this service that I'm offering in my business, Celestial Alegria. This path included getting my heart broken by basketball because I was benched for the majority of my sophomore year. That heartbreak, that loss, it led for me to feel lost. That I didn't have the same sense of purpose. I didn't have the same ability to move with the collective, the same ability to contribute to the success of a whole. And ultimately, this led me to explore different gifts about myself. It inspired me to go deeper into my creative process and discover more of my gifts through music. I became immersed in teaching myself how to play guitar, singing all the time, really delving into my piano, joining choir in my high school so I could feel that collective energy, that collective spirit, and realizing that music, similar to that experience with basketball, especially being in a collective process, was awakening a sense of joy for me. This path also invited me to become more attuned to my spiritual gifts. It called for me to really lean in and recognize the gifts that have been entrusted to me from Creator, from Spirit. And this path also deeply motivated me to lean more into my own indigeneity of Cherokee ancestry, of the Mexica people, to learn those traditions again, to be reminded of our resilience and our power, and how so much of our medicine and our wisdom is still alive because of the sacrifices of our ancestors. This ultimately led me to attending a university that gave me the opportunity to practice what it means to be someone who is in service with others. And I feel that this is significant because, in my time while I was in college, part of my education being focused on peace and justice, being focused on philosophy, to me was more than just reading books. To me was more than just completing assignments. It was actually taking what I was learning in the classroom and seeing how it applied to my community, to my environment, to my world. And it taught me a deep lesson around accompaniment, how to show up and be with other people, and how to let others be there for me in really challenging and difficult times. As I struggled through so much in my own mental health and emotional suffering, this path of being involved in community and working on myself and learning this accompaniment and recognizing the power, the power of our communities, that joy, this ultimately led me to becoming a community organizer. It was a role that I was invited to step into. And I'm grateful for all the iterations of the work that I have done throughout the years for immigrant rights, for racial justice, for our Black siblings, for Latinx folks, for our queer trans people of color. There were deep callings for me to use my privileges, to use my gifts, and to accompany people to have a collective process and manifest what their visions and what their hopes for a better world are. And I'm seeing the fruition of that work every day. And it's powerful to know that I continue to be a part of that. This path, led me to the experience of being a nonprofit director, being part of an organization and completely restructuring it, transforming it into something totally different than when I arrived. And so it could be in greater service to the community, so it could fulfill its true purpose and have a team of people who are dedicated to making that happen. And all of that, all of the culmination of these things created a path that allowed for me to have access to healing justice spaces where I met women and femmes and gender nonconforming folks of color who are full-time coaches, who have dedicated their career to the transformation and supporting the healing of others. And witnessing other women, femmes, gender nonconforming folks of color in this role invited me to recognize and notice my natural gifts for coaching. This allowed me to discover that one of my greatest joys is supporting people's transformation. Part of what I love the most about organizing is leadership development. It calls for an investment in someone so they can see their gifts, their talents, their leadership, their potential. My coaching with Celestial Alegria is in service of women of color, especially Latinx and Chicanx identifying, Black, Indigenous, trans, queer people of color, and community organizers. Too often, part of this is really from my own experience. I feel that we leave our needs, emotions, and visions on the back burner. We forget to create the space that we need truly just for ourselves. We don't always take the time to really process and reflect what is happening around us because we are just trying to survive. In my dream now, that started as that small seed, when I was 12 years old, has now grown and bloomed and is flourishing into this role, into this calling to joyfully live my purpose and share my gifts as a life coach. And this dream has evolved into one where, for the people that I serve, that I can support them to discover and fully embrace their joyful purpose in life so we all can thrive.